And we are back for part 2 of the best ofs. Hello, hello, hello. If you're listening to this by accident, thinking that you're listening to Diaries of Nedavicious, this is the best ofs, and you should go back. I don't know what this voice is. I don't think I'll be a radio DJ. So hello. We're back for the best ofs, kind of improvising these little parts, so they're a little awkward. We're going to start with a piece from the Diaries of Agatha. What to say? Just to say that I was so nervous about asking Caroline Faber, but thought she'd be perfect for Agatha. We had an age in common, so I just reached out and was so happy she accepted. So here is a section from the Diaries of Agatha, recommended by Seraph. Here we go.
I dreamt of our father the other day. I do so every 100 years. After the laughter subsides, after the forest begins to come to life, I always find myself looking for Netto while incapable in my little baby form to lift my legs and move, even to crawl with any great efficacy. The ground, the sky, the space around me is like a great quilt encompassing time and space. I think Netto is there somewhere, sleeping, and if I can wake him, he too will remember this moment. He too will remember Father's laughter and the sound of the chopped wood, and he too will banish his fear of the dark forest forever. But he is inside, isn't he? With Mother, presumably in that distance between Father and Mother, between the forest and the home is vast. Suddenly it pulls, stretching at the very fabric of reality, stretching in concert with my heart until we are a thin violin string encompassing the vastness of the earth and vibrating to a tone that is both soothing and shrill depending on my mood, depending on the time I dream that dream. Why did we not ever go looking for our parents? I do not know Netto's reason, nor perhaps if he made the attempt at any point. For my part, I may have gone looking for our aunt first, but something in the life of an immortal makes one doubt in the ability of anyone to change, or perhaps even feel true unimposed regret. If I can barely manage it myself, why should they? I have had many last names, all of them subject to the needs of the time, of the task at hand. But now I think I would like one for myself. Something that defies time. I will sign henceforth Agatha Vicious. Paris, the 15th of September, 1870.
Listening back, I love her performance so much. I wish sometimes I would have spent more time on the script, but she did such a great job with it. It really opened the world up, and Agatha is such an important character, so having Caroline give her voice, it was just special. What else to say? I mean, I love the idea, if I can compliment myself, of the distance between siblings, like between the distance between the father and the mother, between the father chopping wood outside and the mother inside, presumably with Netto. Hurts my heart a little bit, but I just think it's interesting. Thanks again to Seraph for recommending this passage. Makes it easier for me when you guys recommend things. I love the music that's somehow timed out with this piece. It doesn't always happen that way. And on to the next, which is using some of my original music, piano music. It's from the Diaries of Shark and Whale, Chapter 10, Houseboat Concerto. Also the ending of the app with the little piano musings. I'm just going to keep in my misspeaking, and just for the sake of seeing that I'm not perfect with voiceover. Did you think I was perfect? Nobody thought I was perfect, but just for the sake of those who are attempting to do voiceover anyway. yeah, I love this piece. I love transporting my characters to the places I've been, like Amsterdam. I've never been during Christmas, but it must be magical, and I'm glad my characters did.
So we stayed there on the houseboat, slowly rocking, like floating on the subtlest of emotions. Each evening, watching the lights turn on, the bicycles float by like phantoms, the laughter of strangers teasing us into believing there was a world out there that was wholly ignorant and unbothered, altogether mortal, but also in a way much more connected to the eternal than we could ever be.
The next piece is from the climax, the last episode of Man at the Top of the Stairs. It's a favorite of mine as well. Also recommended by Seraph. Seraph, the amazing artist and collaborator. Check out their art. You'll see it all through the series. I'll drop their portfolio in the show notes. Let's listen, and I'll give you my thoughts.
This is the part of the story where you would be expecting Harry to tell it, but unfortunately there is only me. I could feel the chill void below me pull at my ankles, which felt like they had weights on them, the pain in my fingers desperately making me want to let go from the door frame above me. When what felt like an eternity passed, then I heard a door open and a voice, familiar but almost forgotten from long ago, speak.
Give me your hand, Neto. You have struggled long enough, my friend.
Gree gripped my wrist. I grabbed his hand with my other, flailing, and he was surprisingly strong as he lifted me up and into a room. The door behind us closed and locked, as if everything had fallen into place like the perfect mousetrap.
This emptiness is taking shapes, all of which I can't escape. Perhaps the one is humankind, a shadow there to oft remind me that I am nothing first. Even as I thirst to be the everything I thought I could be. You were not chosen to suffer. You suffer at being chosen. All these little children, so very afraid of the dark. But there is no light without dark. Chiaroscuro, isn't that right? But you know that, Neto. Or should we say, Neto Vicious.
Well, first off, I was so stoked to have Jason come on board. He was so game, so generous, and obviously he takes the vampire characters to a level that's I can't. But anyway, really love what he does. I love the episode all around. I wrote a lot of this episode for Dracula and surprisingly ended up using most of the text. The line, all these little children are so afraid of the dark, came to me having multiple meanings. And having Gree there, of course, and then Gone Again was a nice find, as well as Crow being there. I didn't know Crow was going to be there. Deceased, of course, but none of it really planned as I write. So it was a really, really cool surprise and probably my favorite season finale. Moving on. I chose the ending of Chapter 7 of The Seventh Son, called It Was Not Velvet, because I find it soothing despite it being about death. And I'm proud that the episode kind of explores death and kind of ties it with reincarnation in a way. Feels like this character gets closure, especially with the boy interacting with him. I'm really fond of The Seventh Son for many reasons. One is that I took the leap with experimenting with inexperienced actors, or voice actors in most cases. The other is the narrative leap of going to the way back before the main characters and seeing what happens. I also think there's a lot of unanswered questions, but perhaps a few clues, which might be annoying to some people, but your guess is as good as mine in some cases. Anyway, here we go.
Sir Knight? Sir Knight?
Boy, thank you. Never you mind about the mountain and the woman with the shepherdess. Just stay safe.
And it was black again. And this time I truly felt like I was falling, at the speed of falling water. The skin of my face felt like it was being stripped. I could not tell if the sensation was hot or icy cold, only that again I was somehow myself and not myself, and that is all that made it endurable. And then all was quiet, and the air surrounded me, and I was in a tomb. And it was unmistakable. I had been here before. This is where I came from. I felt for my legs and noticed that I could raise myself, that sure enough my legs, my arms, everything was working. I was only a little sore, like after a long sleep. Space was lit from a small oval with what looked like pure moonlight from above. It was some 20 feet above. Below I could see around me there lay 4 pillars, perfectly smooth stone that raised from the earthen floor to the darkness of the firmament above, except for that rounded moonlit window. Instinctually, I felt for my neck, though I did not know why. I stroked it to assure myself of something. I remembered then the fangs of the creature. Around me were raised tombs, stone coffins like one would find for nobles below a citadel. This was surely not where I came from. I was not raised in an actual tomb, surely not. And yet, everything in my fiber told me I'd been here, had come from here. I ran my finger along the edge of the stone box. I noticed a small gap between the lid and the inside. Return. I turned. I should have been afraid. I thought to be afraid, but I was not. I had a name. My name was Barnabas. The man looked similar to me, but different. He was dressed oddly, like a court jester. A short tunic with little repeated patterns on it. His pants were cut finely, and his shoes, too. He had a scar on his face. He was larger than I was, but he looked at me with very little antagonism. "We will recover," he said. Then we felt the light of the moon above. It gathered the man in its clutches. In an instant, he was gone. Like the opening had sucked him out, like a dust twister I had seen in the far plains once when I was young, lifting a tree from out the ground. And so I opened the lid. And so I took to my bed. And so I returned from whence I came. And the loneliness I had held in my heart for my entire life whispered away with the sound of my name, a name I had somehow always had, somehow always known.
My question is, do any of you think the main character was actually Harry? I know they sound similar. Before the ending, I mean. I'm sure there's some different takes. All right, enough on that. Well, this ep is kind of Seraph's best ofs. Again, check out their art, animation. I'll have it in the show notes. Hello, Seraph. I'm so glad they picked this one from The Dreams in Which I'm Dying, Chapter 4, Ready or Not. So I'll say a few things and then play us out. First of all, who the hell is this guy that Neto and Dracula become? And why do we never see him again? Or will we? I really don't know. I do like the way it sounds all together, and it was fun to do. Anyway, be sure to comment on what scenes you'd like to hear in the best ofs for the remainder of the eps. Next time, I'll take a clip from The Tale of Barnacle Harry, Orphans, and maybe some other random bits. And up to you. Put in the comments or on socials what you'd like to hear as far as the best ofs. Thank you for listening. Hope you're well. I will tell you how it goes.
I saw sweat coming down his brow. Seemingly, could there be tears as well? I approached Cheng. His eyes were closed. My fangs indeed had some memory. When had I used them last? So long ago. To avenge a lover. I split my attention to the mural. I could see the members were spellbound by its spiraling shape. Inside it was a portal. I could feel his darkness being summoned. But also balancing, yes. I could feel Agatha. Agatha was there. And Baba is in the room. I startled. The portal receded. The art began to falter. How little I'd grown. How much still I was the boy afraid of the forest of my youth. I felt myself take a step back. I felt myself go sleepy. And just before I was to faint, I opened my eyes. I could hear the voices scream in the distance. What story? I heard myself say, but inside my head was a different one. It was Dracunin.
You're not the hero, and neither am I, Netto. But together we can be unafraid. Leave your art alone. We must clean the canvas now. Come, brother. We are much more alike, I think. I felt myself split, out of a lifetime of exhaustion. All it took was that little lean. I saw the reed, the bend of the reed. I heard something snap. And we were one. And it was not unlike being aroused from a deep sleep, or like a walking sleep, like a dream within a dream. And we advanced on Chang, and we sunk our teeth into flesh, and we drank, and we were transformed, and we barely repay any mind his interrupted screams.